Do you think we're approaching a Reverend Oscar floor video?
What are you talking about?
Well, because like how Leo didn't win an Oscar for like forever, and then he did The Reverend, and like it probably wasn't his best movie or his best performance, but he won the Oscar for it because it was just like basically the legacy award for him. Like, when are we gonna do a legacy award floor video?
Yeah, I thought you were annoying back when they were winning games, but now every passing day I realize that you just got so much worse.
I'm West, and I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about Game 39 of the regular season, where the Astros lose 8-2 to the Detroit Tigers. And it was bad. It was really terrible. Christian Javier pitched a shutout first inning. And God, I wish games just simply ended after the first inning. That'd be so much better. But they don't. The second inning comes and he gives up 7 runs. Pair of homers. 7 runs in his return. And everyone said, following that, like, oh, he really should have done some rehab starts. And like, yeah, he probably should have. Kinda don't understand why he didn't. Like, I understand the whole, oh, well, they need him back. They need him to be good even more than they need him to be back. Like, if you were ranking in order what the Astros need, it's like, yeah, they need players to return, but why do they need those players to return? They don't need them to return just to, like, be there, like, to go, like, refill water bottles. They need them to be there to perform well. Like, yeah, you got Javi back quickly, and then he gave up 7 runs in 1 1/3 innings. Like, it's not adding up. Like, yeah, you got him back quick. And I feel, I'm going to make so many movie references in this video. It feels like that scene in Jurassic Park where Ian Malcolm's talking to John Hammond and everybody else at the table. And he's like, you didn't stop to think if you were so fascinated and infatuated on figuring out if you could that you didn't stop to think if you should. The Astros didn't think if they were just thinking of how quickly they could rush him back. And then they get him back. And then he blows up. Like, Christian Javier tonight was just the Raptors breaking out of the enclosure. It was the T-Rex checking the wires. That's what this was. And we are just the lawyer on the toilet being shook around and having our limbs broken. That's a great description. And then, like, you have Javi go, and he's terrible. And you have Taylor Scott come in, everyone's favorite pitcher. And he gets out of it, gets a strikeout. All things considered, one of the best pitchers tonight. It's him or Sean Dubb. If you go by a strictly run basis, it's him or Sean Dubb. And anyway, that's painful. He's got a 2.65 ERA, by the way. Taylor Scott, everybody. Anyway, then Hunter Brown comes in and pitches, like, really freaking good. Like, really, really, really good. Like, goes 5 innings of 1-run ball. He made 1 bad mistake with the home run. He struck out 7 dudes and didn't walk anybody. And it's like, you've seen the John Mulaney bit where he's talking about the Salt and Pepper Diner, and he's talking about playing What's New Pussycat over and over and over and over and over again. This is like can you make Hunter Brown pitch a competent game of baseball? Yes, but only if it is preceded by Christian Javier forgetting what a baseball is. And you finally get Hunter Brown to look like he understands the sport. Like he has actually played in games before, but it comes after the game is out of reach in the second inning because Javier implodes. And I'm not punching down on Javier. He's still been one of the better pitchers they've had this season. But it's just, what do you do? What can you do? What can you do? This isn't, like, if he had gone 5 innings in this game, and that's the thing, how you build a loss is important, right? Because if you go back to the World Series game where Lance McCullers started, his final, that was the last game McCullers pitched in a uniform, by the way, was that game in the World Series. He might have done a spring training game, but it was that World Series game was the last time he actually pitched in a meaningful game. Anyway, beside the point. And everyone was like, ah, well, he gave up, what was it, 6 runs, 7 runs? Irrelevant. You know? And they were like, ah, he's the reason they lost. They couldn't come back from it. And I'm like, well, if you look at it as a whole, yes. It's hard to come back when your starting pitcher gives up 6. How did he give them up? It was a run, and then a run, or it was like 2, and then a third, and then an inning clean, and then a couple more, and then I want to say another one. But it was over the span of like 5 innings, and it was slow. Granted, they kept stacking on top of each other, but if the Astros offense would have actually responded to any of them, it wouldn't have mattered, and they could have won that game 3. Now, the difference between that and this is it happened all at once. It is far easier to dig yourself out of a hole that's 3-0, dig yourself out of it, make it 3-3, and then dig yourself out of another hole that's, say, 5-3 or 6-3. But it's very, very difficult to dig yourself out of a 6-0 hole. You can't, this team, let me be very clear, this specific one, this group that they have currently, just is very likely not going to dig themselves out of a 7-0 hole in the second inning. They're just not going to do it, and they didn't. Pena had a couple of hits. Pena's unreal, dude. Pena's never been more back. Diaz has never been more back. They look great. The adjustment Pena made is unbelievable, and the not having dusty disease has done wonders for Yainer Diaz. And Bregman had an RBI. Cool. Awesome. It's so... Or he had an RBI. And Yainer Diaz had the other RBI. I forgot that it was 8-2 for a second there. It's... What do you do when it's 7-0 that early? We're getting close to the floor, like from a build up. And it could be tomorrow. I hope it isn't. I really hope it isn't. But it could be. We don't know. At any moment it could happen. It could strike at any time. Always be prepared for a Revenant floor video. They play tomorrow at 1:40. That's all I have for this game, by the way. They play tomorrow at 1:40. The Tigers send player who I'm learning just now is on the Tigers, Jack Flaherty. I did not realize he was there. The Cardinal legend, Jack Flaherty, and the Astros are going to send Justin Verlander, the Tiger legend. And it's going to be a game, certainly. That's 1:40 Eastern, 12:40 Central, and I'll be here afterwards to talk about it. But as for right now, man, that's all I have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Astros.